Welcome back to more Kirby and the Forgotten Land. Last time, we made it through Forgo Bay, so this time, our next stop is Forgo Park. Alright, so there are 51 pieces of Leon's soul to find here, and truth be told, I actually don't remember where most of them are. I remember where one is because I had the hardest time finding it, but beyond that, I actually don't really remember the stage very well, which I'm not sure if that bodes well or not. On one hand, that means maybe they're relatively easy to find, but on the other hand, I actually am a little bit worried that I might miss one. In general, it's not too big of a deal to miss any because, well, again, Elflin will tell you when you're done with an area, and while I would like to find them all, and they are required for 100%, it is worth mentioning again that they are not actually required, or all of them aren't required to actually reach the ending of the Isolated Isles. But again, I am going to try to collect all of them that I can. In general, this is not the best area to miss anything in, not just the stage, but the Isolated Isles in general, because these are some of the longer stages we've actually seen so far. So if you actually have to go through these stages more than once, it can actually be kind of time-consuming, especially if you're having to comb through the level to try to find things. So I'll do my best to find everything first try. So far, so good. By the way, I actually never realized you could get Needle from these enemies until very recently, actually. I thought to try that and it works. Mostly because when their spikes are out, you can't really attack them, so I never really took the time to experiment. We actually still need Cone, which I'm not the biggest fan of, to be honest, trying to get through this area as Cone Kirby. Luckily, it is exactly where we left it. It doesn't like respawn to where it started. I think it does that if you drop it, like if you lose it somehow, then it will respawn somewhere. But in general, the transformation items will just be where you left them. We have another Tortilding, which, by the way, I don't know if I've really commented on this, but I actually really like the name. Since it's a tortoise building, it makes sense. So, how many do we have? We have 8 so far out of 51. We're still missing one, or several, because Elflin hasn't told us otherwise. I actually see more things to break, so maybe we should hang on to this a little bit longer. Let's break through here and see if we can find anything else. A very sneaky spirit piece right behind there. I also don't think the cone can break the amusement park rides. I think it's only the water balloon, to my knowledge at least. I haven't actually tried, and to be fair, I'm at like half health, so I think it would be better if I didn't necessarily try and take too many unnecessary risks. So the switch is gone, but there's now this little glowy spot. And that's how you open up the other path in this particular version of the stage. Alright, so this should be the last set of spirits here. I hope it is. Yep, that is the last one. So let's head over to the next area. One other thing that's really nice about this is there are very few instances of being locked out of a spirit piece. There are cases where you can, like the boulder in the first stage, Forgo Plains, for the, like, the one stage with, yeah, the giant boulder that breaks the switches. Obviously, if the switch is gone, then you can't get the 2 or 3 spirits associated with it. So yeah, that's definitely a case where you can actually miss one. Luckily it's not too bad, but if you do miss it, then you'd have to go through the stage again, which is not my favorite thing in the world. In general, we actually have to play these stages less, I find, than some of the main stages, which is, again, good because they're kind of longer stages, but also because we don't have missions to worry about. In all honesty, it's actually kind of surprising to me that they didn't tie any spirit pieces to missions. Considering that, like, Waddle Dees are the main collectibles in the main mode, and those are tied to missions in some cases, I am actually a little bit surprised that this wasn't a thing for for Isolated Isles. I am happy about that though, because that's one less thing to worry about. Not having to do a no-hit run of final boss, or Leon for that matter, is nice, actually. Since, yeah, by then, yeah, the final wildies are in the King Dedede final fight, so yeah, you don't have to worry about any of that, any of the missions or rescuing wildies from that point on, which again is surprisingly generous. Again, not really complaining, but just I wasn't expecting to actually have less things to worry about in the harder stages, but I guess in some ways the stages are harder inherently, so it kind of evens out with that. In general though, as far as Kirby games go, even though I do feel like this is genuinely one of the tougher Kirby games, it's still not that bad, and the game actually does have some unique features that makes it a little bit more approachable, that I actually wanted to bring up. Alright, so we are in another dark area with a light bulb transformation. This is not the best place to be looking for soul pieces, considering it's dark. I'm trying to remember if they actually light up, like if you can tell where they are, because they are emitting light. This obviously isn't the best place to showcase this, but there are some interesting, like, not really accessibility per se, but like choices made to make the game a little bit more approachable, as the first 3D Kirby game specifically. So one thing that I've definitely talked about a lot throughout my playthroughs over the years is depth perception. And I tend to have trouble with depth perception in 3D games. And I've definitely had a couple issues in this game, but overall it's been pretty okay. There were definitely worse games where I've struggled. I remember the first time I really noticed it was when I did a Let's Play of Luigi's Mansion, and I was really like timing everything and like having a hard time lining up actions because of my depth perception. So this game actually does something really clever. Because it's largely a fixed camera, you can obviously rotate it around a little bit, but not very much in most cases. There is actually a hitbox system in place that's actually really generous, where even if an attack doesn't directly connect, if it looks like it should connect, the game will basically act like it connected. So for example, like if you attack an enemy and you're slightly in front of the enemy in such a way that the attack should miss, like you're not technically making contact, it will still count because the camera makes it look like the attack should hit, so the game will register that as a hit. So yeah, it's actually a really cool feature. There's also like an input buffer system for jumping, which I find interesting but not as helpful. Basically, if you press B or whatever your jump button is right before you land, a lot of times you will jump straight away. Instead of trying to like jump and then like time a jump as soon as you land. If you press it like slightly before, it'll still count as a jump, which is actually a really nice option. Oh, we were supposed to stand on that. In the dark, it's hard to tell. So yeah, some interesting programming tricks that I think are actually really well implemented. In a series like Kirby that's designed to be more approachable, that's definitely, in my opinion, a very, very good call. To have like more generous hitboxes and things like that. Alright, one sneaky soul piece right up there. We're at 27, which I think we're set. If we aren't, we might be in a little bit of trouble actually, because I'm not entirely sure how easily we can actually return to the main area from here, but we'll see if this actually is the last set over in this area. We have this little light switch. I'm surprised there are no enemies here. I guess they're behind there. So we basically have to lure the Gordos away and then quickly dash over and get the treasure before they return. So is this the last one? Yes, it is. So that means we're good to go here. So let's head to the main area and see what's next. But yeah, I feel like this game actually strikes a pretty good balance of difficulty. It's obviously still a Kirby game. It's still fairly easy even in the post-game. But it does have some challenging moments that I was actually a little bit surprised by. No, honestly, I am really impressed by the camera trick system. It's the kind of thing that I, again, personally struggle with, but a lot of games haven't really offered solutions to, so when there finally is a game that offers a solution to it, and it's like the literal first attempt at a 3D game from a company, it's actually really surprising to me. Alright, so we basically have time challenges to get the soul pieces. I guess this is actually a rare case of being able to actually lose out on the pieces of Leon's soul. If you don't get those fast enough, you actually would have to go through the stage again. So be careful. Obviously you don't want to take it too slowly, otherwise you won't get there in time, but you also don't want to rush and accidentally make too many mistakes and end up losing out and having to go through everything again. But again, the good thing is, you don't have to get everything in one run. You can get things in separate runs, and it will still count. I still don't know where the rare stone in the Forgo Bay area is. We found the one for this area. We should probably go and upgrade some stuff before too long. Not only because, well, having all the abilities would be nice, but also because we still need to unlock multiple treasure roads that are tied to specific copy ability upgrades. So yeah, we still have quite a few treasure roads, and again, that's part of the reason why I never really went after the treasure roads too extensively, was because we didn't have access to all the abilities anyway, so there's no real point in going after all of them until we unlocked everything. Once we get to the end of this playthrough, we'll probably make a stronger push to get through them. Also, once we unlock all of them, I'll just probably spend some time to finish up more of them. Plus, we're also running out of like main stages, so it makes sense to start working on those more. I got really worried, but then I spotted this one, and I'm really hoping that this is the last one. It is the last one, so we are good to go here. And here's the original area of Forgo Park, a maze. So we have the little aliens again. Unlike before, if I'm not mistaken, these won't retract, so we actually have to go around in like a maze. This isn't too difficult, I say as I almost died on my personal playthrough, because I was taking a lot of risks and I kept running into the aliens and taking damage. Ice is really not the best power, probably because I was supposed to use the other ability. Was I supposed to use bombs here? I think I'm supposed to use bombs here. Just looking at the environment, I think that's what I'm supposed to do here. So let's do that. Ow. Well, that was unfortunate. Try this. I guess that worked somehow. I think I managed to hit the switch right as I took damage, so that was well-timed, I suppose. Again, because the boss of the stage will always have 5 pieces, that kind of gives us an indication of how many are actually left here, and the answer is a few. I also spotted a bunch by the end of the stage, so that narrows things down a little bit. Was I supposed to hit a switch on the other side? Or am I actually still on track? I think I am actually on track. So basically this will block the warp star and the final soul pieces. So yeah, hitting that switch will open that up. But we missed something here. We're missing 2, it looks like. To tell the truth, I am actively trying to remember where those 2 are. We know we haven't missed anything because Elfilin would have told us otherwise in the other, or wouldn't have told us anything otherwise. There's one, and there's the other. By the way, have I really mentioned that you can actually slide? I think I have with the sword, but you can slide normally, like in most Kirby games. Again, crouching is handled with the shoulder buttons instead of down on the directional, but you can still crouch and do the little slide move. Again, I don't think I've really brought attention to that, oddly enough, even though that's actually a very helpful ability in some very specific circumstances like this, where obviously I don't want to use up Crash on that. So now the question is, do I try to use Time Crash for this fight? Time Crash is good against like mini bosses and regular enemies. It's not the best for bosses though. But then we can get Sword pretty easily in the fight, so I'll risk it. Next up is the Illusory Leopard Phantom Clawline. Let's charge up a... Ow. Let's charge up a Time Crash. Like so. And again, as long as you just run into them as this force field has been extended, you will deal damage. Again, it's not the best in boss fights because you can't extend it like you can with regular enemies. But still, we took out like half of her health almost, or a little under, like a third, I'd say. Not as good as it could have been, but not bad either. So I guess for now we just have to fight with stars, which is kind of fun, actually. And yeah, we have a few new attacks here. So instead of just one Clawline to deal with, we actually have multiple illusions, hence the name, or the subtitle for the boss. Does she not give us... Oh, maybe like that? Guess not. So I guess we may not be able to get a power-up after all. Also has a little X-slash attack, kind of like Leon, except that was a little bit different. This fight is actually kind of giving me trouble without a power. There we go. We have Sword finally, as we have no health left, which isn't great. I actually might take a safety heal, just to not have to redo this fight. But yeah, with Sword, we should be able to get through this way safer than with just copy abilities. And with that, we're done with Forgo Park. That should be all 51 pieces here, which will bring our total up to something like 150 roughly. Big Red Tortilding. The aggressive boss of all Tortildings dwells within the forbidden zone of Redgar. When this hothead finds a suitably sweltering spot, it stays put. It's reckless with its attacks, shooting chunks of concrete out of its mouth to hit faraway enemies. We'll worry about Forgo Horns next time, but I want to return to LD Town. Again, we still have a lot to do around the regular world, mainly treasure roads, so let's head over and see what we can find. There's one very specific challenge I'd like to try. Gosh, so much lava, if we don't keep moving, we might start to melt. I don't think we've seen that before, because Alphalon wasn't with us when we actually got here originally. Whack Attack, Wild Hammer Trial. So this is another combat trial. We have a target time of 1:30, which isn't a lot of time to spare. Also, Wild Hammer is just inherently kind of slow, so we have to be very careful to plan swings. I feel like Hammer is a good actual showcase of what I was talking about earlier with hitboxes. A lot of times it kind of feels like you might miss a hammer swing, but the game is very generous because of the camera perspective trick. Again, for a game like Kirby, I think that's actually a very good call, especially for like a first Kirby. But even like a lot of 3D platformers give me this trouble. To me, it's very comparable to the solution in Sonic with the introduction of the homing attack to get around needing like extreme precision to defeat enemies. Just homing onto enemies kind of defeats having to line up specific jumps, which could be a little bit tricky. I'm not sure if we'll get the target time for this, considering we have to fight the twin Wild Bonkers in 30 seconds, basically. Oh, that's poison. I should be a lot more careful than I'm currently being. They do have less health because there are two of them. Yeah, so I think they have like half health, basically, so maybe we'll get through this, but I'm actually having to play a little bit more carefully due to losing so much health. This is going to be really close, actually. Yeah, we have 5 seconds to run over to the goal, so let's see how this goes. That definitely wasn't the cleanest run of that stage, but we barely made it and got some extra star coins for our efforts. Instead of flying around trying to find the next one that I'd like to show, let's check the list. Which one should we try next? I kind of want to save some of these for later because these are like more advanced because they are so late. So let's head over to Wandaria. Have we not unlocked Floor Tornado? I guess we haven't. We should probably get on to upgrading abilities at some point. Let's try some of these in Winterhorns, since we have some of these abilities. Long Shots, Noble Ranger Trial. So like before, we have a target time of 1 minute 30, which doesn't really feel like a lot of time, but basically we have to charge up and just unleash a barrage in order to defeat multiple enemies as quickly as possible. Actually, the level that you need to charge up is probably the toughest thing about this. Like, how many shots do you need to actually defeat the enemies? Also, the rare stone is right over there, but we have to fight everything first. That enemy just poofed out of existence. Not my favorite thing in the world when trying to go through a stage quickly. So, for example, this group, you only need 2 shots per formation. With the Scarfies, they take multiple hits, so we actually need to charge up a little bit more. So again, this is not the easiest trial because you have to kind of figure out how much you need to charge up per group of enemies. But overall, this isn't too bad. I think we have one more set to go. I didn't even see that enemy down there. I was wondering why it wasn't advancing at first. Oh wow, we're almost done. I had my hopes up that maybe there wasn't going to be something, but oh well, we still have one more set of enemies to fight, so we are probably not getting the target time. At the very least, because we're right there, as soon as we take the barrier down, we'll be able to make a run for it. Like, so even if we only have a couple seconds to go, we might still be able to get this. I say as I'm missing a lot of shots right now, which means we probably won't get it. Yeah, this is actually kind of a unique challenge in that you're basically right next to the rare stone for a large portion of it. I definitely whiffed a lot of shots, but 5 seconds over isn't too bad. Alright, so next up, let's try this. Adventures get me so excited, especially when I'm with you, Kirby. Sure. Speed and Swerve, Conveyor Circuit. This is not the one I thought it was. I was thinking of a different one when I saw the word circuit. Our target time is 40 seconds. One thing I'm not sure about is if hitting enemies actually slows you down. I think it might actually. Yeah, I'm hitting every enemy anyway without meaning to. So yeah, target time of 40 seconds. We have a 3-star difficulty though. You can kind of use the conveyor belts to launch yourself in theory. Obviously that's good if you're going for the target time, but you can also just plummet like that. So obviously not necessarily the safest strategy, but if you are trying to go for the target time, you will want to kind of cut corners wherever you can to save time. Yeah, we're definitely not getting target time. Considering we literally fell off the stage at one point, we got really close. If I didn't fall there, I probably would have gotten the target time. Alright, let's try one more. Triple Strike over freezing water. So our time for this is 30 seconds. It's basically a test of hitting all these switches without falling into the water. This one isn't too bad if I'm not mistaken. The target time being only 30 seconds isn't great. Not a lot of leeway here, so especially in the ones where you only have a few, like, a much smaller amount of time, it feels like if you make a small mistake, it can really set you back a lot more. Like that. I definitely almost messed that up. We might not make it actually, because I fell in the water. Oh well. Again, considering we actually made a very major mistake, 2 seconds over isn't actually that much time loss. If I hadn't fallen into the freezing water, I would have gotten it. And with some more rare stones in tow, I think we're ready to head over to Wild D Town. And instead of returning to the isolated isles, I want to go over something else next time. So yeah, we'll see what lies ahead then. So thank you for watching, and I hope you'll join me next time for more Kirby and the Forgotten Land.